I'm being sued by a credit card company for $5,000 for not paying the bill.
Hi you guys, it's your favorite consumer law advocate, Rebecca Simone. So first I want to give props to the original content creator, and I want to tell you guys to go look at her entire video because you may be able to relate to her situation, and if so, then my video will help you if you can. Hopefully this helps the content creator as well. So you have a problem with a bank, an alleged bank, suing you for a debt. I want to say that there will be a lot of people on this app, including me, who will have an opinion about what's happening in your situation. What I will say that you should do is double check everybody's opinion before you make a educated decision, right? Because there was a lot of people in the comments saying bankruptcy. I saw a lot of people saying, a hell of a lot of people suggesting bankruptcy. I also saw somebody who worked in the court who said they were a clerk of court and that courts don't normally, I'm not quoting her verbatim, but she basically was saying that courts don't normally dismiss things because of consolidated debt, which is true. But I also want to add to that just because people that work at courts only see things happen one way doesn't mean that's the only way that it can happen. I am a rare jewel. I'm like a unicorn. So when I go into court, I'm setting precedent. A lot of times I'm doing things that people haven't done in years because lawyers don't want to take the time to defend their clients a lot of times like they should. There are a lot of great lawyers out there, but there are a lot of lawyers that just want your money and just want to push you to the side. So they'll give you the bare minimum help. Now I'm going to give y'all some free advice today. There is a law. This book is the United States Code annotated, published by Westlaw. This contains Title 15, 1692, which is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. This is the law that all debt collectors have to follow when they're collecting this debt. Now, original creditors are not bound by this law, but if you are being sued or if somebody was trying to collect the debt that a bank charged off, because the bank does charge those accounts off after 120 days, once they charge that account off, it's sold to a third party. So then you may have some type of dunning letter, some type of phone call, email, or something from a third party saying, hey, look, we're trying to collect this alleged $5,000 for, we're going to say Capital One, because that's the example I'm about to give y'all. So say they were collecting a $5,000 debt for Capital One. This could be somebody like Midland Credit Management or Portfolio Recovery or Jefferson Capital. Those people are third-party agencies who buy your name on lists with other debtors that they're going to chase for the amount of money that you originally owed the original creditor. What I want to say is that the original creditor is the one that took the loss, not the person who purchased your information from the original creditor. Okay? Now, rewind that if you have to, but just know what I'm saying. You need to get that down in your spirit. Know that the original creditor is the only person that's injured, not the third party. The third party is pretending to be injured and taking an assignment, receiving an assignment of injury. You can't receive an assignment of injury. That's like a trauma bond that is not legal. Even though they will tell you that it's legal, if you can prove that they were not injured by saying, hey, I had no legally enforceable contract with this third party, so they were not injured, I have the right to face my accuser. My accuser has to be the person that's injured, or there's no injury here for y'all to give a remedy for. You volunteered to be injured if somebody tells you this account was discharged, it was charged off, she hasn't paid us in 2-3 years, and you're gonna purchase it? Like that's crazy. That's insane, but most people don't know how to defend themselves. So I want to say that in your case, you said that the bank was suing you. I want to suggest that you do a little research and find out if the bank is actually suing you. I know you may have talked to somebody about consolidating the debt. Once you consolidate debt, there's a third party contract now. It's not your original contract. So I would question, and I haven't looked at your case, so I don't know for sure, but I would question how could the original creditor still be injured if you have a new contract with a third party? Another thing, I want to give you an example because I don't know the details of your situation, but I do know the details of a case that I just helped somebody with earlier this year, which was kind of in the same situation you're in. So stay tuned, watch that. All right, I'm going to start by saying this email was from an attorney. This attorney was for the plaintiff who was pretending to be Capital One. And this email, we previously emailed her May 21st asking for validation of the debt and verification that they actually represented Capital One, because I just did not believe Capital One was suing her for such a low amount. I've seen Capital One discharge $20,000, $30,000 worth of debt. they're not suing you for $5,000-$10,000. Okay, so this email says, in response to your email, verification of debt has been provided and mailed out to you for your review. Additionally, Capital One is the original creditor of your account and therefore has standing to sue in this case. Now, pay attention. This lawyer, Tarlisha Armstead, who doesn't even work for this law firm anymore, Scott and Associates, said that, and these are facts that you guys can go look up, so it's not defamation of character. She no longer even works there after this. But she reached out and said Capital One was the original creditor. They were the ones that were suing. What was happening was her association is a debt collector. Let's hop over to their website. This is their website. Their website doesn't scream, let me represent you as your attorney. It screams, we're a third-party debt collector. As a matter of fact, look right here. It says, this is in, so you even looking at their website is an attempt to collect a debt by a debt collector. Any information obtained will be used for that purpose. Okay. So this is Scott and Associates, where Tarlisha Armstead used to work, right? They are the ones that were suing her and saying, we're representing Capital One. However, if you look here, they actually receive payments and all of that, meaning that they're not collecting for them, they're collecting for themselves. And they have to actually tell you they're a third party, which is why it's right here on their website. No matter where you scroll, it's still there. All right, now let's go back over to this. Let's go to the order. Once I had a little back and forth with them, we negotiated some terms. They did not want to come to the terms that I wanted, which was them paying her out. However, they did agree to drop the case. So they dropped the case. The only reason why Capital One, which you can see here at the top, would even drop this case, because this is their order. The only reason why they would drop this case is because they did not have the legal standing. First of all, this was not Capital One. My client has a current lawsuit against these people right now for abusive process. So a lot of times, what I'm trying to say is a lot of times attorneys will sue you on behalf of a bank or an original creditor because they know you're not going to try to verify if they actually represent them or not. So once they come to court and it's just them and it's not the bank, you're never questioning, do they actually represent them? You're never questioning misrepresentation or none of that. You're never questioning their ethics. All you're doing is saying, well, I did owe the bank. Yeah, she did owe the bank too. But what happened was the bank charged this account off in 120 days, and then they sold it to Scott and Associates. So Scott and Associates had previously sent her a dunning letter, which is required by that law that I mentioned earlier, FDCPA. They sent her a dunning letter. In the dunning letter, they called themselves a third party and said that the account was assigned to them. So then a month later, they filed a lawsuit and said they were representing Capital One. That is textbook misrepresentation. Now, with all of that being said, what I want to say to you is you should double check everything that these people are telling you. Even if you know that you owe the accounts, you need to double check what is the status of the account with the original creditor. Has it been charged off? If it's been charged off, they have filed a 1099-C with the IRS. If you were to get a copy of a 1099-C, it would look like this. These papers have 3 copies. One is supposed to go to the IRS, one is supposed to go to you, and one is supposed to stay with the creditor. And when you look at the back of the one that's supposed to come to you, it says you have received this because a federal government agency or an applicable financial entity, aka a creditor, has discharged, canceled, or forgiven a debt that you owed. They don't send you guys these forms because if you had it, you would know that you didn't have to pay it anymore. And they wouldn't be able to have third parties go after you and try to sue you. Now, like I said, double check everything I said. Double check everything I said. But I have receipts, and this is only one case that I'm talking about. Right now, I know somebody who this same thing happened with American Express. They thought American Express was suing them. It was actually a third party. I know somebody else, Bank of America, same thing. These banks are doing the same thing to you guys, and the only way to take your power back is to comprehend what's happening and to arm yourself with enough knowledge to where you can actually fight back. Y'all follow me for more information. If you like this video, drop in the comments. If you're dealing with a debt collection agency and you would like help, drop the help sign in the comments. I said help sign. Drop the heart in the comments and I'll help you guys. Talk to y'all soon.